What if the biggest threat to your leadership in 2026 isn't your competition, it's not your budget, or even your team? It's your calendar. If I looked at your calendar right now, would it reflect your priorities or someone else's? Welcome back. I'm your host, Bernadette Boas, and I'm so glad that you're here because this episode is one of those topics that I've been building toward for quite a while. Almost every day, clients share with me how overloaded, overwhelmed, and stressed out that they are. And if you are a leader, you're navigating AI disruptions, hybrid teams, relentless meeting cultures, 24/7 connectivity, and organizational complexities that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. You're being asked to lead more people, make faster decisions, and deliver bigger results, all while somehow being more present, more empathetic, and more strategic at the same time. Clients will tell me that the next time they're told to be more strategic, look around the corner, or be more proactive, they're just going to get up and walk out. So we need to solve this. We need to solve not just the time management issue, we need to solve the attention issue. And here's what I've learned after coaching leaders for many years. The problem isn't effort. They're struggling because they don't have a system. They're working with intensity, but not with intention. And in 2026, the gap between those two will cost you more than your team, business, and self. So in this episode, I'm going to give you that system. It's called the Timer Leadership Framework, a 5-phase operating system that is built specifically for leaders grounded in the best research of 2026. And it's designed to elevate not just your personal effectiveness, but your team's capability alongside it. Stay with us all the way through because the actions I'm going to give you at the end can be implemented beginning today. Not this month, not this quarter, today.
Welcome to Shedding the Corporate Bitch, the podcast that transforms today's managers into tomorrow's powerhouse leaders. Your host, Bernadette Boas, executive coach and author, brings you into a world where the corporate grind meets personal growth and success in each and every episode.
Let me start by naming what is actually happening right now, because in 2026, the time management issue has shifted, fundamentally shifted. And I want you to understand why the old advice of to-do lists, the Pomodoro timer, the productivity apps, they're no longer enough on its own. So here are 4 observations from leadership researchers this year. Number 1, the attention economy has reached a breaking point. The data coming out of this 2026 South by Southwest survey is striking. It talks about fragmented schedules are now identified as one of the single biggest barrier to productive leadership. And then the number that really stopped me in my tracks is that 63% of professionals report burning out specifically because they do not have enough time for focused work, because they can't find a single hour of white space on their calendars to really be creative, to plan, to look around the corner. According to the research, leaders are checking their messages 6 minutes after waking up. Their calendars are booked back to back from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then, and this is the part that breaks my heart, is that they stay late or they're working weekends away from their families, away from their friends, their social life, to do that actual strategic work. That's not leadership. That's just survival. And we need to change that. Number 2 is the fact that AI has created both a new and a dangerous paradox. Think about it. No one was talking about AI just a few years ago, but every leadership expert is talking about it today, because as both a gift and a threat to your effectiveness as a leader, it's impacting everything that you should be doing each and every day. So on the gift side, AI can genuinely reclaim hours of your administrative, repetitive, drafting type of work and really get it off your plate once and for all. That is real, and we are going to use it in this framework. But on the threat side, leadership researcher Barry O'Reilly, who works with Fortune 1000 CEOs, has identified something that he calls atrophied reasoning, meaning that as AI gets embedded in daily workflows, some leaders are becoming less confident in their own judgment, not more. They move faster, sure, yet even MIT research has now confirmed that over-reliance on automated decision tools can reduce long-term understanding, even when short-term performance improves. Leaders are executing AI suggestions without fully understanding why. And that is dangerous. And that is a leadership crisis that is actually hiding inside a productivity trend. And it needs to change. Now, the answer is not to avoid AI. The answer is to use AI intentionally to enhance and leverage your critical thinking, and then challenge the suggestions and the outputs that you're getting with your own experience, expertise, and team insights, while you're protecting and exercising your own judgment each and every single day. We don't want you losing your judgment. We don't want you losing your core foundation of the experience, expertise, and insights you have within yourself, let alone from a computer. Now, number 3, the delegation gap is getting worse. DDI's 2026 Global Leadership Forecast states that only 19%, just 19%, of managers report having strong delegation skills. And this gap is directly linked to burnout, team stagnation, and reduced organizational performance. 19%. And it's not because leaders don't feel that delegation is important. It's because they've never been given or created a system that allows them to do it well, consistently and at scale. That changes today. We're going to give you that system. And lastly, the 4th observation of 2026 is that it's not just about you anymore. Time management is a team effort for these reasons. Number 1, how you manage your time directly determines how your team operates. Think about that. How you manage your time directly impacts how your team operates. And the second reason why time management is actually a team sport is because of the fact that your meeting culture is also a reflection of your calendar discipline, good or bad, effective or inefficient. And your team's ability to make independent decisions is a direct function of how much you delegate. And lastly, your team's stress levels are often a mirror of your own. So think about that. Put all that together. How you manage your time determines how your team operates. Your meeting culture, how you handle your calendar, is a reflection of your discipline. Your team's ability to make decisions is a direct function of how well or how much you delegate or not. And lastly, your team stress is a mirror image, most likely of your own energy or lack thereof. So those are the 4 observations of what is impacting leaders today when it comes to their time that need to change. If you want to be building a high-functioning, high-performing team and be a powerhouse leader yourself, we need to change that. We need to shift your mindset from a reactive state to a more intentional state. Before we get into the framework, the most important reframe I really want you to have when it comes to managing your time is stop thinking of yourself as a time manager, one who manages tasks, and really start thinking of yourself as someone who manages attention. Because you need to manage the attention you're putting to not only the tasks, but even before that, the priorities, your meeting culture, the discipline, routine, and habits that you have toward handling a workload, and then also in delegating it to your team. You need to be able to really put the attention on that as opposed to someone who's simply managing tasks. Laura Vanderkam, one of the top time management researchers in the world, whose new book, Big Time, is one of the most talked about leadership books in 2026, has studied how hundreds of high achievers actually spend their time. And her central finding is this: most leaders have an adversarial relationship with time. I know I did. And they are constantly trying to beat the clock, a behavior that is rooted in a belief that time is scarce. And therefore, they must be obsessed with being ultra optimized to get as much done as they can in the shortest period of time or whatever time that they have. But here's what she found in the data. The leaders who feel most effective and energized and most fulfilled are not the ones who have the fewest commitments. They are the ones who have shifted from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset. They're the ones who believe, and they schedule as if they believe that they have enough time for what matters most. And that's what I want for you. You're not trying to squeeze more into the day. You are designing a system that multiplies your impact through intention, through your team, and through the right use of the right tools. And ultimately, you are becoming a timer leader. And that's what I want you to establish today. That's what I want to gift you today, is that framework to really become a timer leader who puts attention and intention in how they spend their time. So the timer leadership framework, it's an acronym, timer, Timer, 5 phases, 1 word, and a complete operating system for how you lead your time, your focus, your team, and your energy. So let me spell it out briefly, and then we'll dig into each one of them and give you a step-by-step of how to execute against each of these phases. First off, T. T is for track your time, and we'll get into that in a bit. I is for intentionally designing your week, intention. M, master your focus. E is for empower through delegation. And R is renew your energy. So timer, all right? Keep that in mind. Timer, again, 5 phases. Each one builds on the last, and each one has a direct, specific payoff for you and a direct, specific payoff for your team. Let's dig into it. Let's drill into it even further and make note. And literally, you could take notes because I'm going to give you a step-by-step of what you could be executing on in each one of these 5 phases. And remember, they build on each other. So T is for tracking your time. And this is where most people get very uncomfortable because they have to be brutally honest with where they're spending your time. And if you want to become a powerhouse leader, and if you want your team to be operating and modeling how you show up, then this is a place that you want to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and that is tracking your time and being very brutally honest with yourself about where time is being wasted and where time is adding value and moving your objectives forward. The first step would be do a 3-day audit of where you're spending your time. Literally track from the moment you get up in the morning to the moment you close your eyes where you're spending your time. What tasks are you working on? What is the time frame that you've worked on it? Whether it is taking a walk, scrolling social media, sitting in a meeting, taking phone calls with your team members, finishing a project, wherever you literally spend your time throughout the day for 3 days, I want you to write it out on a piece of paper and get very clear and brutally honest with yourself as to where you've spent your time for those 3 full days. And then I want you to circle any time leaks from that day. So time leaks could be scrolling social media, standing in the hallway talking to a colleague about nothing, reading an article online that's more social than it is moving your objectives forward. Wherever the leaks are in your very efficient, very impact-filled activities throughout a day, I want you to identify them. Then I want you to also point out and name any avoidance workload. This is things on your to-do list, your actual to-do list, that you're supposed to be working on, but you're avoiding them. Maybe they're hard, maybe they're complex, maybe you feel like you don't have the skills, maybe they're going to be difficult conversations or challenging debates with team members. Whatever those things are that cause you to avoid items on your to-do list, especially those items that are going to move your objectives forward, I want you to name them. Why is it? Put a name to this thing on your calendar that you tend to be avoiding. Put a name to it. I feel uncomfortable. There's going to be conflict. I don't know enough about what I'm supposed to be doing. Whatever it is, name it. Okay? And fourth, I want you to then change your language toward your workload, toward your time. I don't want you to be saying, I don't have enough time. I want you to instead to own it. I want you instead to say, I choose where I spend my time. I am choosing to do X, Y, and Z. I am choosing to avoid 1, 2, or 3. I am choosing to act on 5, 6, and 7. Because Once you own what the decisions that you're making, because everything that you do in any given moment of time is a choice that you have made, good, bad, or indifferent, easy or hard, impactful or depleting any type of productivity that you or someone else could be making. Every one of those things is a choice. And so instead of saying, I don't have enough time, yes, you do. Everyone has the same amount of time. So think about it. Why is it some people have the same 24 hours in the day and can get far more things done while living a very full life, a very active, energized, fun life, and yet some are feeling just drained and depleted and stressed and overwhelmed and overworked? It's the choices that they're making. So I want you to choose to change your language from I don't have enough time to I am choosing to X, Y, and Z. All right. And this will have a significant and immediate impact on your team because once you start owning your choices and modeling and shifting how you approach how you spend your time and the attention you put to that time, your team members are going to follow suit. They're going to want to perform in the same manner because they're seeing you are now looking at things with great intention, great attention, great focus. You're choosing what it is you're working on, how it is you're working on it, and therefore they're going to want to do the same. Let's move on to I. I is intentionally design your week. And the first step here is one of my clients' favorite tools, and that is a productivity profile. Write out a whole list of questions around where you spend your time, how you spend your time, how you work best, where you work best, with whom you work best, what distractions get in your way, what motivates you, what stresses you out. Come up with a whole list of questions, or you can reach out to me at Bernadette Boas at bolafireinc.com for a productivity profile. Lay out a profile of yourself of how you show up and where and how you spend your time. Because oftentimes we're operating in a physical, mental, emotional state that isn't the most productive for us. All of a sudden we see that, oh, you know what? I'm working on the wrong things at the wrong time because of the information that I just learned from a productivity profile, which brings me to your golden hours, which you'll identify out of your productivity profile. What are those blocks of time and what days do you work your best? Do you have peak energy and focus? What are those golden hours? Because that's where you want to put either your heavy work, those challenging works, or those strategic, high value, high impact, creative work in. Because of the fact that you're at your highest energy level and your highest focus level. You want to be sure you're intentionally applying tasks and activities from your to-do list in those hours because that's when you're at your best. And then work into those other hours, those things that don't necessarily require you to be at your ultra best. Based on all that information, what I always suggest is either late Friday afternoon or Sunday night before Monday, really start looking at your week. Start looking at that to-do list. And here's where you're going to apply the 4Ds, what I call the 4Ds. And that is, you're going to take your to-do list and next to each one of those items on your to-do list, you're going to designate them as either D for delegate, D for delete, D for delay, or D for do. Delegate, delete, delay, or do. And once you have that, you can take those things that you need to do, and now you can move to the next step. And that would be take a look at your calendar of meetings. So you typically have standard meetings on your calendar. Look at them first and really determine, be brutally honest with yourself, as far as how important and how necessary are you to be in that meeting or for this meeting to be held. That could be the first question. Am I absolutely necessary in this meeting? Am I a decision maker? Am I a influencer or a contributor to this meeting? You could also be asking yourself, is this meeting of importance or value for me or my team? Is this meeting something I can delegate and have one of my team members to do? Is this meeting complete with agenda and outcomes and projected decisions that need to be made? Is it a structured, productive meeting? Because if not, then it's going to be a meeting that doesn't result in anything at the end of it. And therefore, you just spent 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half in a meeting that doesn't result in anything. Is this a meeting for a meeting? And therefore, should I come up with another way of getting whatever prep work done prior to having a second meeting? So really look at your calendar of meetings and make decisions. Choose which ones absolutely need to be on your calendar. And then start building that ideal week. And you build that ideal week by writing it out on paper first, taking those do's, taking those golden hours, taking your productivity profile, and taking now this list of meetings that you made decisions on, and you build your ideal week. You build your white space in. You include times from your productivity profile, times when you will allow yourself to get distracted. This is a big one. We all get distracted. We all need breaks. We all need to get up and walk away for a few minutes. So block that time. Block that time to scroll your phone for 15 minutes. Block that time to take a walk outside or walk your dog, or just simply take a breather, sit on the couch and do nothing. Whatever it is that you need to do for a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute break of distraction, then block it out. Block all your time and make sure that you're then also considering blocking that white space, treating it like a personal appointment. And why that's important is when people put a doctor's appointment on their calendar, a PTA meeting for their kids, whatever their personal appointment needs to be, they pretty much keep to that appointment. They respect, they honor that time, and they go and they do it. Do the same. Create white space on your calendar that's blocked out, says unavailable, says me time, whatever the case might be, and respect that and honor that time block. So you do find the time to do the things that are most strategic, most important, most of value, and you don't find yourself just overwhelmed and overexhausted with, I don't have enough time. Next, M is master your focus. Because you can design the best week on your calendar, and that means nothing if you can't defend it come Monday morning. And that requires focus. So all of a sudden, if you build your ideal week and then first thing Monday morning, you get an email or you get a phone call or a text message or a Teams message that says, oh, I need you in this meeting. And yet it conflicts with some high value, high impact, high priority activity that is going to move your goals and your objectives forward, then you need to be able to defend it and either reschedule or just simply say that you can't attend. You need to have that conviction that you want to keep that attention that we talked about and that focus on how you spend your time. Because remember, it's your choice. If all of a sudden your boss calls and says, I need you in this meeting, and there's no real value to it, and you don't challenge it, you don't ask questions about it, you don't find out if there's an agenda with outcomes, and you know from past experience time and time again that this particular type of meeting held by this particular person is never efficient and is never productive, and everyone typically walks away feeling like they just wasted their time, and you don't push back on that, and you don't challenge that, and you don't say no to that, again, it's your choice. And therefore, it's your overwhelm and it's your overwork that you've added to yourself. It's not anyone else's. So you really want to ensure that you are building a plan around how you can master your focus. So the first thing you could be doing is really designing the environment you're working in. Remember those golden hours. Those golden hours on your productivity profile also spoke to the environment that you're working in. If you need to shut off your phone, shut down email, turn off alerts. If you need to ensure that your desk is clear or that your door is closed, however you need to set up your environment to be the most productive and have that attention and focus, then that's what you need to do. All right. Now, secondly, you could use the timer method. If you needed to work on something for a certain period of time and you want to ensure that you have no distractions and you have no excuses and you're not avoiding, and maybe the work is hard or difficult, or you're not really confident in your ability, maybe you need to teach yourself something, then block time to just be heads down and get some work done around that particular activity or task. Set your alarm for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, while you're also setting the environment up for success. And then fourth, and this is one specific to 2026, and that is really protect your own judgment. Yes, we all want to be using and should be using and can be using AI type tools that are really removing a lot of repetitiveness, helping with strategizing, critical thinking. However, don't put 100% reliance on whatever that output is. Ensure that you are looking at it and you are challenging it, you're validating it, you're asking yourself further questions to add to it so you can enhance and enrich it, and ensure that the final decision is yours and it's not simply something that was generated from the computer. Make sure that you're really protecting your ability to understand and make judgments of your own. And that is critical right now and will continue to be as AI embeds itself more and more into our everyday practices. All right, moving on to E, empower through delegation. I can't even begin to tell you how important delegation is. You do not want to be a micromanager, and if you are, you don't need to be a leader. You need to empower your team by delegating to them work that you should not be doing, work that they want to be doing, and work that will elevate their own skill set and their own capability. So I want to help you reframe the fact that time management is not a personal issue. It's not a personal problem. It is a leadership leverage problem. What do I mean by that? Leverage. You're not leveraging the skills and the expertise and the experience and the ambition and maybe passion of your team members. You're not leveraging others around you to make you look better, to help you accomplish your goals and objectives, to help move the business forward if you're not delegating. And so look at it as a leadership leverage problem, meaning that it's your problem that you're not leveraging, and change how you approach delegation with your team members. And ask the question of yourself on a daily basis, how do I build a team and a system that multiplies what I'm capable of? Because that's what delegation is. It's building a system and having a team that allows you to multiply your own contribution, inputs, and results. And that's what we want from our leaders. And that's what you want in order for you to find that energy and that excitement and that fulfillment of both your career and your personal life. Keep that in mind. How can you empower your team through delegation? The first one would be assign a value to your highest impact leadership work that you do. Assign an hourly rate to that work. So for instance, if your salary equates to $300 an hour, then every hour you spend on a task or a set of tasks needs to ensure that it's returning to you $300 worth of value and impact to the business, to your goals and objectives moving forward. If it does not, then you need to delegate it out to someone else. So my landscaping example is I was doing my own landscaping many years ago, about when I first started my business, and it was taking me a good full Saturday and maybe sometimes into Sunday. And then I saw some landscapers in the area, and I asked them how much it would cost for them to come and do my landscaping on a weekly basis. And they said it would be $65 a visit for about an hour to 90 minutes every week for the month. So that's roughly $260. I thought to myself, my work and my sanity and my energy and my focus is worth more than $260. an hour, and therefore I should be really delegating this out. And so I immediately hired them, and they've been with me ever since. So if you could put an hourly value to your work, to your worth as a leader, look at every task on your to-do list. And if you could hire someone to do that task for far less than what your hourly value rate is, then you need to delegate it out. Step 2 would be cross-train. Intentionally plot out on your calendar time to cross-train someone on your team to do those tasks. This goes hand in hand with step 3, which would be to build a delegation map. Identify all those things that you identified as D's for delegate, assign an individual to it. Who would you delegate this to? And then block time out to cross-train that person to have that task done for you as you go forward. Will it take your time right now? Yes. However, it'll save you a tremendous amount of time going forward. So that delegation map would be all the assigned individuals to all the tasks that you know you can delegate, and your plan for how to cross-train them on that task. So then it's off your plate, and now you're opening up more and more white space. And then lastly, step 4 would be, what are those AI-assisted tasks that could be done automatically via an AI tool? Whether that's for yourself directly or your team, but let's start with yourself first. And if you can turn those over to a more automated system, how much time would that allow you to reclaim? And therefore, make that note of where you're going to take time to allow an AI tool to do certain tasks than you doing them today. Now, R is re-energize. And then R of the timer leadership framework. R is for re-energize. And this is a phase that most leaders skip. They really don't take care of themselves. They don't prioritize how they refuel, how they re-energize, how they refocus. And if you think about what even airlines instruct you on when you're flying, put the mask on yourself first before helping others, because you can help others. You're not showing up as the leader your team and the business needs if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not finding time to refuel, if you haven't built those habits of how you're going to recoup the depleted energy, the completed mental, emotional, even spiritual focus that you have. So find those things that will allow you that opportunity to re-energize. Because even today, especially with AI, the number of hours you put into your work is no longer correlated directly with the value you're creating for the business, for your team. What correlates value is your energy, physically, mentally, emotionally, and what I think also of spiritually, meaning your sense of purpose and meaning in the work itself is also of significant value to how you show up each and every day. So if you're still correlating that the number of hours you're putting into work, that you have to be a workhorse, you have to work late at night, and you have to work weekends to get work done. If you're correlating that to value and impact to the business, then you are just going to find yourself burning out and regretting the lost time that you could have had through delegation, empowering your team, allowing automated tools to take some of the administrative tasks off of you. So build your non-negotiables around your energy, sleep, movement, real recovery, reflection time. Those aren't personal indulgences. They are leadership critical inputs. Another aspect of this in the R phase is what Craig Groeschel, best-selling leadership author and one of the most followed leadership voices of 2026, he calls the principle of subtraction. Doing too much does not steal your energy. It suffocates your effectiveness. And he suggests that every quarter, look at everything that you're doing and ask yourself, what am I doing that is no longer the highest value of my energy and my time? And then stop doing it. It's not a valuable use of your time and energy, then simply choose not to do it. Remember, you have a choice. And then one last step you could be taking in the R phase of re-energizing is to consider a quarterly think day, a full day, one without meetings, one without phone calls, one without emails, one without deliverables, where you can read, reflect, plan, do what you need to do to really recalibrate not only your energy and your focus, but also your plan and your vision and the steps that you're taking as you move forward to achieve the goals and objectives that you have for yourself, your team, and your business. Trust me when I say by doing that, you will completely shift not only how you show up each and every day, but how your team members show up, because you'll be modeling a whole different leadership approach, a leadership style that they're going to want to emulate. And therefore, the impact will be profound and it'll be lasting. That is your timer leadership framework. And based on that framework, here are the 5 things I want you to be doing as of today in order for you to be that powerhouse timer leader that we've been discussing. First off, for the T, simply run that 3-day time audit and see what you can gain from it. See what insights shock you and what information you feel an immediate need that if you were to change your approach, that you would improve your own productivity as well as your team's. And then within the I phase of building your ideal week, sit down on Friday evening or Sunday night and really work with a blank piece of paper and build out your ideal week. Consider all of those things that we talked about, your productivity profile, your golden hours, your meetings, and lay out what your perfect week would look like. And M, mastering your focus, use the timer method. If there's something on your to-do list that it really isn't the most fun, the most exciting task or activity to work on, however, it will help you move forward toward your goals and objectives, then set your timer and get used to setting your timer to focus on doing one of those tasks within that time frame. And then simply with E, in order to empower your team through delegation, look at your list on that Friday night or Sunday night and just start making note of the delegation. What can you delegate from your list? What should you not be working on because someone else could be working on it? It will stretch someone else. It will build up someone else. It will empower someone else. And then for R, with your re-energize, block out the day you're going to take to really have your own think day, to have the day where everything's going to get shut down. Maybe you do call it a PTO day, or if you don't call it that, you tell other people you're taking a PTO day, and you allow yourself no meetings, no emails, no deliverables, and you're just really taking time to read, reflect, plan, do what you need to do to then come back with full energy, full focus and attention in moving the business and the team forward. Because in 2026 and moving forward, the most powerful leadership skill you can develop is the ability to manage your own attention and not just your team's attention, your attention. Because when you control your attention, you can control your output, your impact, and ultimately your results. And when you do that with intention and with a real system and framework, real discipline, and a genuine investment in your team, you do not just become an effective leader. You become the kind of leader people want to follow. You become a powerhouse leader. And I want to thank you for being here. And if this conversation landed for you, then feel free to share it with your team members, with your peers, with other leaders who need to hear it and who also want to focus on becoming a timer leader that intentionally chooses how, when, and where to spend their time. It'll be a win-win for everyone. And if you need help in implementing this framework, then feel free to schedule a complimentary call with me at coachmebernadette.com/discovery call. And you will walk away with specific next steps you could be taking in order to be the powerhouse leader and team that you want. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Shedding the Corporate Bitch. Every journey taken together is another step towards unleashing the powerhouse leader within you. Don't miss any of our weekly episodes. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you love to listen. And for those who thrive on visual content, catch us on our Shedding the Bitch YouTube channel. Want to dive deeper with Bernadette on becoming a powerhouse leader? Visit balloffirecoaching.com to learn more about how she helps professionals, HR executives, and team leaders elevate overall team performance. You've been listening to Shedding the Corporate Bitch with Bernadette Boas. Until next time, keep shedding, keep growing, and keep leading.